Here comes the Pittsburgh Steelers pick. Cue the Boo Birds.
With the 24th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Najee Harris, running back, Alabama.
Well, listen here. We've got to get one thing understood here tonight. This is Steeler country. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.
And welcome everybody to another edition here of the Mouse Steel Podcast. And of course, yours truly, Charles Prodigy Richey, right now as we are recapping the 2021 NFL Draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers, as well as the rest of the division in the AFC North right now as it stands. 2021 draft just wrapped up this past Saturday on May 1st. And here we are right now looking at it. Steelers right now, I thought it was very tactical right there. First four picks on offense, then methodically their next four on defense. Trading with the Philadelphia Eagles, giving up a fourth-round pick for 2022 and next year's draft, move up to the round number 5 right there, and select, I believe it was inside linebacker Buddy Johnson. Let's take a look at that right now as we look at it. I mean, for the Steelers in that regard, they move up to defensive end, at number 156 overall, defensive end, Isaiah Loudermilk out of Wisconsin. Another Wisconsin native to join TJ Watt and the rest of the defense right here. Very impressive right there. So the Steelers do end up getting 9 picks total. They had 8 going into this year's draft. So they got 9 selections, and then they get their last selection on a punter. I'm not going to lie to you real quickly. I know he was a real good punter right there, select 7th final pick, but a punter? I'm just saying right there. I mean, don't get me wrong. It is a draft. I know the Steelers and their coach, Mike Thomas, definitely expressed disappointment with the punt game many a times before, but I really believe that's something they could have got in the offseason for someone that's released at the end of the preseason or during training camp. I'm just not so sure if I will select that. Don't get me wrong. I think overall, looking at this draft, I definitely agree with many other people. And seeing it from my perspective, I definitely give this draft an overall B-. And I'll get to that in just a second. And now I think definitely one of the things people are kind of split 50-50 on is why the Steelers did not go with an offensive tackle or center as opposed to a running back. Listen, I think he could have gone wrong either way. And I said that many times going into this. I definitely do feel like the running game was due to get adjusted, especially when you look at the last putrid 2 years they had. And then James Conner, who was last on this team in 2018. He played most of the season until he had that concussion, missed a spot of games right there, and really only shown flashes, not enough consistency. And don't forget, I mean, remember when he signed with Arizona Cardinals, I really felt it was inevitable that the Steelers were going to go running back with their first pick. I really felt the momentum, definitely in their favor a lot more at that point, despite the fact that saying Kevin Colbert and them, they weren't going to do their mock draft until the day of, I think it was. But still, Najee Harris, it was definitely the right move because at the end of the day, I mean, you got to think of it this way. I mean, yeah, there were a lot of good offensive tackles in this draft. Maybe not so much centers. There's definitely a few good ones here and there too, especially in like no more than like 3rd round, I would say. But still, when you look at it, considering from this point of view right here, either way, no matter who you plug in, I mean, even if they would have got him tackled first, you would still had to find your run game. Would you have been willing to roll the dice and having a guy like Najee Harris being snatched up by that point, or maybe a guy like Travis Etienne? I mean, don't forget, I mean, when you look at this draft right here, I mean, when you look at everything that was going on, I mean, throughout this, Najee Harris, I mean, surprisingly, the first running back taken off the board, and you look at it right there, and that was one of the first thoughts that was sinking in later on that night after I saw it was they punted on Travis Etienne. They had him right there at their hands. But like I said, I feel since the 2021 college football, the 2020 college football playoffs that concluded this past year with Alabama eventually winning the national championship, we heard Najee Harris and the Steelers' names tied together for so long. And at some points, I definitely did feel like it was destiny for him to end up in the black and gold. Now, when you go further with this too, I think one of the things that did kind of like alarm me a little bit was him putting out there that he could do some of the things that Le'Veon Bell did before just as much, if not better. I like Najee Harris. I like his confidence, but at the same time too, let's not start writing some checks that you won't be able to cash in just yet. I definitely do feel like by him making those remarks, I hope he didn't draw too much of a target on him. I mean, for teams to get ready to try and stop this guy. I mean, listen, I mean, we've been hearing a lot of comparisons. I mean, to the legendary Hall of Famer Franco Harris. We've even heard comparisons with Matt Forte, Derrick Henry, and of course, some facets of Le'Veon Bell. I mean, when you look at Najee Harris's overall production value, I mean, when you look at everything that he has been able to do, I mean, in his college football, career, Harris right here, who comes out of Alabama right here, two-time national champion with Nick Saban right here, when you look at it. I mean, pretty much starting the last 3 seasons, legitimately finishing up with 3,843 yards, 4,624 yards total in those 4 seasons with 57 touchdowns combined in scrimmage. I mean, this guy right here, this guy was averaging 5.8 yards on average. I mean, his highest was in the second season back in 2018. Keep in mind, they did lose in the championship game, I believe it was, to Clemson that year. But still, I think Harris, I think he's definitely going to be good as advertised. And I know there are some people a little skeptic about drafting a first-round running back because, one, you're going to have to pick what eventually you're going to pick up a fifth-year option. Some people felt like they could have waited. But at the same time, too, I look at it this way. I feel like right now this is something that has been owed a long time. It's been a long time coming for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And like I said, too, when you look at the other thing that I mentioned on last week's show, going into this year's draft right now, when you truly think about it here, they have selected running backs as the third most in the first round in their entire history since 1969. When you had your last 3 coaches, not the entire franchise history, but since that span, the mostly selected in the first round were linebackers at 8, cornerbacks and wide receivers each at 7 apiece, taken in the first round. Now running backs, which makes it 6. The last running back to be taken in the first round was 13 years ago, Rashard Mendenhall, who eventually did win a Super Bowl as a backup with the Steelers. And, of course, everyone remembers how good production-wise he was. A lot of people still, unfortunately, remember the fumble he had in the Super Bowl. But I still feel like he was definitely a real good back for the Steelers at that time. He was definitely showing right there the follow-up from Willie Parker and everything. And I really feel like he did a good job to bridge that gap for a few years. Even the year he was hurt in 2012, you had guys like Jonathan Dwyer come into that right there. And then the following year, you finally saw the Steelers catch lightning in the bottle with Le'Veon Bell, what he was able to help contribute to the birth of the Killer Bees with Antonio Brown right there. And what we at the same time, too, listen, Art Rooney has been saying at the conclusion of the end-of-year press conference with the team that they have to improve the running game. So, needless to say, I think mission accomplished right there with the first pick. And I realize, I get it, a lot of people are saying, well, they could have chosen a tackle. They could have chosen a center, given the fact that Marquise Pouncey is retired. And I understand values at each of them. I mean, a center, I mean, in football, as everyone knows, is like having a good catcher in baseball to complement your pitcher. I mean, the guy who definitely call out a lot of key plays for your offense, pick up some key blocking assignments before the ball is snapped. And I mean, pretty much, I mean, you're second in command next to the quarterback without the field of play. I totally understand that. And I mean, then you look at the next pick by the Steelers. They still did not go tackle, but they got tight end. This was a long time coming. Over 5 years in the making, truthfully, right now. I mean, you think of like guys like Zach Gentry and previous other guys they've tried taking in the past, but the tight end too. I mean, when you really think of it right now, this was something that needed to be fixed and fixed badly. I mean, ever since Heath Miller has been gone, they have had nowhere the same value at that position and tight end. I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, the last time when you had a good solid tight end, I mean, taken in the first round was 2005, which was Heath, by the way. I mean, then you look at the experiment they tried doing in 2016. I mean, they had one of their other tight ends they tried to plug into that role. I mean, when you look at it, now I'm talking about none other than the one guy. I cannot think of his name, but he was a former Charger on this team. And he did not really work out well. And I mean, he only played barely like a few games. If he had some concussion issues in that year, back in 2016. Someone could just please help me with the name. I'm struggling to find out who it is, but still, I mean, that was a team right there. I mean, they thought they had their man in there. And let's see who I'm trying to figure out right now. Ladarius Green. There we go. Ladarius Green, who came to the Steelers, I mean, that year in 2016. I mean, he only played like a few games. Only think he had like one touchdown thrown to by Ben Roethlisberger right there. As we all know right there, I mean, in that span, he only played, let's see, I mean, with the Steelers, he only played 6 games. I mean, beginning with the Dallas Cowboys and then ending with the Cincinnati Bengals back in that same season. And I mean, the thing is, too, I mean, when you also look at it right now, I mean, from a standpoint, I mean, when we think about everything right now, I mean, Ben Roethlisberger, I mean, he's had a lot of good success right now over his tenure. When you look at, and I mean, think about everything that has been going on too. I mean, where everything that has been happening. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger, he has the most career touchdown passes to receivers. I mean, taken in the 6th round. I mean, basically, and that was to guys like third round picks, basically. I mean, which is 107. I mean, as far as touchdown picks thrown to people in the 2nd round, he has 52 career touchdowns, which is the 3rd most. The 2nd best is 6th round draft picks with 76 touchdowns. No, excuse me. 2nd round picks is usually 4th with 52. Number 1, most career touchdowns has been thrown to 3rd round picks with 107. 74 thrown the 1st round draft picks. 107 thrown the round 3 draft picks. 2nd will be 6th round draft picks at 76. 3rd to 1st round picks at 74. And then he also had 4th with 2nd round draft picks at 52. So Pat Fryer move. I'm really excited to see what this guy can do real quick. I mean, this guy right here, I think is definitely going to be exciting. The guy who's coming out of Penn State, I mean, he's the guy who has the nickname labeled on him, Baby Gronk. And I'm not sure if I'm ready to go that with him. But when you look at his production value that he's did in Penn State, I mean, over that time, who's played in a total career number of games, 29 games with them in 3 seasons. He has 16 touchdowns, 8 career high back in his freshman season back in 2018, where he had 8. He caught for 368 yards that year. His highest in yards was his reception yards was in 2019, 507 yards, averaging 11.8 yards per average. His career high average was 14.2 in 2018. And this guy right here, I think he's got some good size right here. He's 6'5", and he's also got a nice solid grade of 6.30 right there, which is good enough right here according to the NFL combine grade. Even though they did not have a combine grades, I mean they invited some people to it or to their pro days. That grade right there should become instant starter right there. That's the type of guys I think I like to pay attention on, especially with your first couple of picks in this draft here. I mean, and everything that they've been able to do right now. I mean, Pat Freiermuth, I think is going to be real good. Then your third pick, they had a guard right there in Kendrick Green, who could definitely play center, drafted out of Illinois, 6.18. Same thing, just like Pat Freiermuth right here. Should become instant starter right here. So that was good to see him get that in there with the third pick right there. Now you got a center you can slot in, despite the fact he was technically listed as a guard. Then your fourth pick at 128th, they finally taken a tackle. Now some may question why was this taken a little bit later. I mean, listen, I thought it was very well plotted. I mean, still they got some nice pieces right here. Dan Moore Jr. out of Texas A&M, 5.86, chance to become a starter right here. I mean, still, the only question is right now, and I was listening to Ron Cook say this with earlier on the Cook and Joe's show. I mean, Zach Banner, despite the fact he's got about a 2-year contract, $3.25 million in guarantees. We're not so sure if he's going to be able to stay healthy in the long haul. Listen, he had torn ACL in the first game of the season against the Giants, a guy who did work his butt off all last preseason challenging Chooks Okorafor. And I believe right now Mike Tomlin did mention he's going to have Okorafor in, I think, at left or right tackle, I want to say. I mean, when you think about it. And when we also look at too right now, I mean, Banner is still a question mark. I like his attitude. I like his intensity. I like his work ethic. But is he going to be a guy that could prove to stay healthy in the long haul? Is that someone we're going to have to be holding our breath on? That is he not going to be available on a weekly basis? I like his attitude, but again, I mean, this is why he had to stock up and fill in some depth needs like Brian Diardo, who I've had many a times on the show, who writes for CBS Sports, NFL Insider. I mean, filling off some depth needs. I mean, this is a good solid piece right here. I mean, to have backing up right now, and Alejandro Villanueva right now. I mean, he's another guy who's supposed to be rumored to be going to the Ravens, which is anticipated. And I really like to see what happens here. I mean, he's expected to sign with them. I mean, the last we heard, which was over a week ago, I mean, visiting the Ravens. I mean, we have no idea if he's going to come back, but still, nonetheless, at the end of the day, they got enough. They're loaded either way. I think they really did plug in some good insurance right here, I mean, for this team. And that's all you can ask for. I mean, we know the Steelers are not always going to be the biggest spenders in free agency or making too many trades, but at the same time, too, this is their MO. They build through the draft, which has been no secret, and they've been trying to keep that same formula going ever since they had their fortunes changed since 1969. I mean, prior to those years, I mean, a lot of times they had a history of trading away draft capital, which set the franchise back. This would be once upon a time when they were losing franchise right here. So you look at the depth chart on the tackle areas. So like I said, Villanueva, not sure if he's going to come back or not. He's probably pretty much gone at this point, but we shall see. You got Chooks Okorafor, who's supposed to be slotted in at left tackle. I mean, and then you still also too on the right tackle. You also got right now. I mean, with this draft pick right here, and Dan Moore Jr. See if he can put some competition on Zach Banner right here. And then also too, you'll also look at the rest of the offensive line. I mean, you got Kevin Dotson right here, who I thought did a real good year in his rookie season, being aggressive. And then you got David DeCastro once again, multiple Pro Bowl producer and All Pro a few times. So I mean, I'll be honest with you, I like the improvement of this offensive line right now, the tweaks they made. The only question is right now you draft these guys, will we see that attitude return? We're going to bring back that toughness and accountability in that area. I mean, that's one thing that remains to be seen right now as we try and move forward and dissect this thing a little bit further. Once again, if you guys want to follow me on social media, you could definitely follow me on social media on Twitter and Instagram at Prodigy Richey. For the Men of Steel podcast on Twitter, it is at Men of Steel CGR, and on Instagram at Men of Steel Nation. So once again, the first four picks in this draft, just to recap, no secret with the first one, running back Najee Harris of Alabama. I do believe they got their man right there with that first one. Second one, they go with tight end Pat Freiermuth, Penn State at 55th. Third round at 87th, they go with center and guard Kendrick Green out of Illinois. And tackle at 128th with the first of their fourth round picks, Dan Moore Jr. out of Texas A&M. Now, the next four picks on defense. This is what I like right here. The first one they had was at 140th, inside linebacker Buddy Johnson out of Texas A&M. I mean, this is one guy that Jerry Osofsky really liked right here. As we look at it, I mean, for that time. And Jerry Osofsky, I met him one time. It was definitely fun to see him at the Combine 2 years ago in Indianapolis right here. When I got to see him, I got to take a little picture with him. And, I mean, definitely a guy right here who brings some attitude right now. And he says right here, and quote, the reason you get a guy like Buddy is because things like last year happened. I mean, we went through 6 inside linebackers. Now you don't expect that to happen. It's still the pandemic. But Vince, I lost with the pandemic. Robert went down, things like that. It's a tough game inside, and you can't have enough good players right there. And I think that is very true. I mean, Robert Spillane, too, who did a real good job filling in for Devin Bush until he got hurt. I think he got hurt around the Ravens game, if I'm not mistaken. But still, I mean, I'm glad they're still matching down those areas right there. I mean, look at the priority they did this set. They knew they had to go offense. They knew they had to get a running game. They knew they had to get protection, which I think they've been doing. Something to help open up the run game to a lot more higher level. And I think they're definitely going in a whale of a direction in that regard, but also being smart enough not to fall asleep at the wheel. I mean, anytime you have someone go down, next man up, who do you got? I think they definitely got some very good guys to fill in that's very capable. Now let's go into the next one right here. Defensive end Isaiah Loudermilk right here out of Wisconsin. As we look at, the Steelers are getting they got a 5th round pick from the Eagles, according to Dale Lally, who before this, the day of the draft on Saturday, when they made this deal, they gave a 4th round pick to draft Loudermilk. According to Lally, he's 6'6", 274 pounds. He may have to put on weight to play end or drop to play edge. And Tomlin on Loudermilk, there's a scarcity when you talk about his size. Also valuable to us is the fact that he's played a defense similar to ours. And Clover would also say, too, we're pretty sure we'll have some kind of compensatory pick in that 4th round range. We wanted to get into that 5th round range this year, especially when a player like Loudermilk was available. I mean, and that was very smart right there. So you add one more draft pick right there. Once again, they have 9 altogether as opposed to 8 that they and then
As
went in there
we look
initially
at,
with.
I mean, the Steelers are.
And just once again, I mean, you wonder how important it is to keep a guy like Kevin Colbert around. Thankfully, to have him year to year with the Steelers, a guy. Thank God he did not go to the Lions. I'm just going to say that right now. He did not. I'm sure a lot of people with Steeler Nation and within the organization did want to know what that life would have been just yet without. I mean, Kevin Colbert. I mean, if he would have left this team. I mean, can you imagine Omar Khan or Emery Hunt? I'm not saying those guys won't be ready, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not so sure if I'm ready to transition just yet and see how they would do it because Colbert has put out a Hall of Fame resume, I mean, with this team. And I expect a guy like Kevin Colbert to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame at some point for his contributions that he's been able to do. I mean, 3 Super Bowl appearances, winning 2 of them. I mean, and only having, what was it, 1 losing season as GM in 2003. I mean, and you're getting ready to go into your 22nd season here. Think about that. 21 seasons where he had not had a losing record. Now, remember, this year, I mean, it's going to be win or lose. I mean, so they're either going to have a losing record or they're going to have a winning record. I definitely feel comfortable in saying they'll have a winning record with that 17-game schedule this season. I just don't see how they fall behind that mark. Let's do a significant injuries right there, just some sloppy play calling. I mean, throughout the season, the stuff they could do, self-inflicting wounds. I don't expect that to happen. But again, 60-minute, week-to-week game, still in COVID. I mean, fans coming back right now. It's another thing right now. How are they going to be able to welcome their fans back? I will say this before I move on a little bit further. I mean, for it being in Cleveland, I must say, I mean, for Browns fans, I mean, or just NFL fans in general, I don't know about you, but definitely got chills up and down my back when I heard Jim Brown being the voiceover for their intro. And they had like YouTube playing in the beginning. I thought that was a beautiful opening right there. I mean, well done right there. And I mean, you saw how beautiful it was to see the fans back. I still loved it last year just as much when it was a virtual draft. I mean, we didn't necessarily, in my opinion, I don't think you needed to have like fans in person. I mean, players in person necessarily, but either way, it worked. You saw how good it was. Just have a little concert there for people to relax and enjoy. People were definitely relieved, and so was the NFL to have that in-person experience back. I mean, just people going up on stage. I mean, as always, I mean, with the commissioner. I thought one of the things that got a kick out too during the draft too. I'm surprised it hasn't been trending much. I didn't get a chance to look at it. I'm sure it was, but the Macho Man Randy Savage dress up right there. I thought that was so cool right there. And of course, I know he's supporting the Browns right there, but at the end of the day, I mean, since they got the nickname Savages right there, I mean, more particularly the Baker Mayfield, I just thought that was so cool right there. Just see something special like that. I mean, him holding up the championship belt, but still, I mean, this is a draft that was well done, and just glad to see it. Things back to normal in a way. Let's go ahead and get on to a little bit more guys real quick here. Quincy Roach here, edge rusher out of the University of Miami. Another guy should become a starter here. But, I mean, this is a guy right here. I mean, when you look at it right now, Quincy Roach right now, who plays the edge right now, this guy right here, he's played all 4 seasons at Temple and Miami. He has 30 and a half sacks, along with 8 takeaways right there, too. I mean, he's been able to produce here, I mean, for his team. And I tell you what, I mean, when you think of a guy like that, I mean, remember, Jack Cam, all-time great outside linebacker. I mean, one of those things that he's number one recognized for, he has the most career takeaways as a non-defensive back in the history of this league right here. And anytime you can have a linebacker that could play, that could take away the ball. I mean, he hasn't had interceptions, but he's had 8 fumble recoveries in 4 seasons, with a career high 3 being his final season right there. I mean, still, I mean, you look at this guy right here. I mean, this guy could be another rotational linebacker in one of their sub packages right here. 30 and a half sacks in 4 years. 13 was his career high in his 3rd season here. I mean, when you really break this down, this is a guy who I really like right here for this team. And I really cannot wait to see how they plug this guy in, because I tell you what, I mean, right now, Alex Highsmith, who's done well filling in the void of Bud Dupree, but, I mean, still, I mean, you got competition right here. And you look at Quincy Roach right now. I mean, with their 216th selection, which they got, let's see, 216th selection in the 6th round. I mean, pretty damn good right here. And you look at it right here, his reputation is as a skilled pass rusher, and his projected draft value. Selection of Quincy Roach. I have one guy here from behind the steel curtain giving him a B, and this is according to Shan White right here, who's written an article. He was a dominant defender for his 3 seasons, playing for the Temple Owls before transferring to Miami for his final season. So, I mean, he did like most of his damage, I mean, with Temple, basically, when you look at everything. But still, I mean, his takeaways for the ball, he has career high in fumble recoveries with the Hurricanes with 3. And they also said, too, that he surprised plenty of scouts at his pro day by running a 4.62 40 with a 32-inch vertical. He also posted 23 reps on the bench press. Many scouts looked at him as a highly disruptive overachiever, getting every ounce of production out of his limited athleticism through superior effort and having football savvy. So that goes to show you what kind of guy he is. Personally, I love it, man. I mean, this draft, I mean, you couldn't go couldn't have gone wrong. I'm still leaning towards B-, and I'll get to that in just a second. I mean, this guy right here, I mean, I think I had to give this one a B- grade. But still, I mean, you look at it right there. From there, they go with cornerback, Trey Norwood. Here's another guy right here who's got drafted in the 7th round with the first of their 2 7th-round picks, 245th, coming out of Oklahoma, Big 12 conference right here. This guy has had 6 total interceptions in all 3 seasons. He had career high with 5 picks in this final season at Oklahoma. I mean, 5 for return for 98 yards, which included also a pick 6 in that year. I mean, and this is another guy right here. He's got a grade of 5.60. Chance to become an NFL starter, just like Roach. And we'll see what he's able to do. I mean, this guy right here, I think Mike Tom referred to this guy as the Swiss Army knife. Cannot wait to see how he does right here. And then you also got so I was going over Trey Norwood right there of Oklahoma. And then we also ended up with Presley Harvin III out of Georgia Tech, 5.62 punter right there. And listen, that was the only one that just kind of left me scratching my head a little bit. And don't get me wrong, I mean, it was the last pick. What are you going to do? But I'm just not so sure. I'm sure I'm not the only one saying a punter right here being drafted on this guy. I mean, they got him with the 254th election. I mean, I'm sure many people were definitely surprised. But based on many of the Steelers' immediate need, they gave that initial draft grade an A. He instantly became a fan favorite the moment his selection was announced. People always believe the backup quarterback to a struggling star is the most popular guy in town, but that is not entirely true. A young, talented playing prospect ready to challenge a long-time incumbent might just prove to be the exception to the rule. Harvin is intriguing. He is a wide body punter with a huge leg. He stands 5'11" and weighs in at 263 pounds. He was an all ACC as a senior after averaging 48 yards per punt with a 44.8 net average. Unanimous first team AP All-American, won the Ray Guy Award as nation's best punter. So pretty darn good one, but still, punter, I would probably got so on the offseason, but that is just my opinion. I'm not going to go any further than that. So those are your 9 picks right there. Now let's take a look at the rest of the AFC North Division right here. You got like the Ravens right here, the Browns and the Bengals right there. I got to personally tell you right now, I think between the remaining 3, I probably have to go with right now the Browns right now. Only reason when you look at everything they've been able to do right here, I mean, this team right here has had 8 picks. They have 5 of their picks on defense. I mean, look at quarterback Craig Newsome out of Northwestern. Guy should become an instant star right here. You also got linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah out of Notre Dame. Defensive tackle Tommy T out of OSU. Linebacker Tony Fields, the second out of West Virginia. Last but not least, Richard LeCount, the third out of Georgia right here. I mean, some real damn good guys right here. And not only that, the one thing I will continue to say right now, I mean, when you look at it, I mean, they try to be more aggressive, try and put more pressure on this offense, including which may prove to be Ben Roethlisberger's final season right here. I mean, when you got a future Hall of Famer, I would expect to be in camp by the time his career is over, Myles Garrett. And you look at the pieces there he got on there. I mean, still, I mean, this Browns team is coming with a nastiness we have not seen in a long time. And good for them, I mean, at the end of the day. I mean, listen, they earned that respect by being the Steelers in the playoffs, but we shall see how it translates moving forward. If I had to pick someone to, like, not win the division besides the Steelers, I would still go to the Baltimore Ravens. I still feel like John Harbaugh is a more tactical, smart coach. If it's not the Steelers in the end, I just feel like he's definitely a lot more gets his team more patient, more mature, and does not screw around when it comes to like closing the deal on things. And I just feel like John Harbaugh, he knows some good trickery. You also look at too like the Ravens, what they've been able to do. I mean, you got Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota right here. Interesting to see how he'll be able to use in the pass game with Lamar Jackson, see how he continues to develop in the pocket. I mean, there were some rumors right there, too, by Bucky Brooks, who's a draft analyst for NFL Network. He was suggesting, I think it was a quarterback, if he was available, I believe it was Justin Fields who I say, that if he would have dropped low enough in the first round, the Ravens should have grabbed him, held off on extending Lamar Jackson, and then just have Justin Fields succeed Lamar Jackson right there, which I would have thought would have been interesting in itself. I mean, the Ravens, too, they also got edge rusher, too, Jason Owe out of Penn State, guard Ben Cleveland out of Georgia, cornerback Brandon Stevens out of Southern Methodist right there. Good cornerback depth right there. You also got Tylan Wallace, wide receiver out of Oklahoma State, cornerback Sean Wade out of Ohio State, Dayan Hayes, edge rusher out of Notre Dame right there, a guy who developed a chance to become a star right there, and fullback Ben Mason in Michigan. Very well done right there by the Ravens. I mean, no surprise there. I probably have to still give the Ravens a similar grade to the Steelers. I'll probably give them a B-. I give, like, the Browns grade. I mean, this one right here, I'd have to give them an A+. I mean, they've been aggressive with this. I mean, they got 8 picks. I mean, feeling the emotions of their hometown right there, hosting this draft event. I mean, this is a team who really stocked up heavy on defense right there. I'm going to tell you right now, the Steelers need to look out when they play this team. Then you also look at, too, I mean, the Bengals right now. I mean, right now they had a total of 10 picks, 6 of them on offense right there. We see a lot of quarterback and wide receiver reunions from their playing days. I mean, pretty much for the theme of the first round, especially. So now you get Joe Burrow. He gets a chance to reunite with his receiver at LSU and Jamar Chase right there, a damn good receiver at LSU right there, trying to bump that chemistry into the NFL with the Bengals right there. Got a guard and Jackson Carman at Clemson, 6.22. Very smart move right there. I mean, you don't want to see your number one draft pick from the season before get hurt and lost for the season like they did a year ago when he was playing against the Steelers right there. I mean that's very smart of the Bengals right there to get some protection. Got an edge right there in Joseph Osai, Texas, I like right there. And also another edge rusher of Tulane. Cameron Sample, defensive tackle Tyler Shelvin out of LSU, tackle Deontay Smith out of East Carolina, Evan McPherson out of Florida, Trey Hill center, running back Chris Evans, Wyatt Hubert. I'm gonna tell you right now, if I had to rank this draft right now, I'm gonna give it to the Ravens. No, I'm gonna give it to the Browns, the Ravens, Steelers, and the Bengals, to be honest with you. I'd probably give the Steelers the third best draft selections within the division, to be honest with you. I think the Steelers do a whale of a job, covering all their needs. But as far as being more aggressive, I have to say the Browns were the more aggressive team, within the division that stood out, unfortunately. But like I said, Steelers, hell of a job well done for this one. And we'll see what it translates into right now. Also following the draft, too, they were able to sign about eight players of future contracts, too, by the way. And the Steelers, undrafted free agents, they were able to sign their future deals. You got quarterback Shakur Brown out of Michigan State, real good grade, 6.23, should become a star right here. Linebacker Calvin Bundage out of Oklahoma State. Wide receiver Rico Bussey out of Hawaii. Quarterback Mark Gilbert out of Duke. Wide receiver Isaiah McCoy out of Kent State. And they got a pair of safeties right here. Donovan Stinner out of Florida. And Lamont Wade out of Penn State. And Jamar Watson out of Kentucky right here. And just give you a quick rundown on the tail of the tapes right there. Brown, he left school after his redshirt junior season as protected by sub-draft analysts as a 4th or 5th round pick. He earned All-American honors from the Walter Camp Foundation, 2nd team, and Pro Football Focus 3rd team. That was the first team All Big Ten selection by the coaches of Pro Football Focus. He also got linebacker Bundage, who played in all 11 games 2020, leading the Cowboys with 7 sacks, 6 quarterback hurries, recorded 19 tackles, including sack safety against Texas Tech. He was named honorable mention to All Big 12 by the coaches and the university. He also got Rico Bussey out of Hawaii right here. Started all 8 games 2020, finished 3rd on the team receptions with 31 and had 274 yards receiving, caught at least 1 pass in 7 games. 128 receptions for 1,914 yards and 21 touchdowns for the Mean Green. His 21 receiving touchdowns ranked 4th in school history. He also had Duke cornerback Mark Gilbert played in 29 games, starting 20 while recording 65 tackles, including 5 for a loss. Then Kent State wide receiver Isaiah McCoy, named 3rd team All-MAC, topped 100 yards 3 times. He also got safety Donovan Steiner, finished his career playing in 48 games, recording 150 tackles with 3 interceptions. Safety Lamont Williams from Clareton, Pennsylvania, just outside Pittsburgh, playing 47 career games for the Nittany Lions, starting 22. He had recorded 37 tackles, 18 of them solo stop, 2 fumble recoveries, an interception, 2 passes defended. And last but not least, you got Kentucky linebacker Jamar Watson, finished his college career playing in 49 career games with 29 starts, including 19 starts in a row. He had 107 career tackles, 28.5 tackles for loss, 18.5 sacks, which ranks 5th in school history. So there you have it right there. Just an amazing one. And also, too, there was news today, too. The Steelers today have signed quarterback DeMarcus Marcus AC to a one-year contract. He went undrafted with the 49ers last season and was released prior to the 53-man roster cut to the start of the regular season. He ended up spending most of the season with the Seattle Seahawks practice squad. He played at Missouri, starting 36 out of 47 games, where he recorded 99 tackles, 23 passes defended, 3 interceptions, a forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery. Team has also waived tight end Charles Jones, a punter Corliss Waitman. So there you have it for this edition right here. Let me know what you guys feel of the draft final thoughts. Where would you grade this one? Like I said, I got a B-. I'd like to hear from you. Feel free to leave me a comment on my Facebook page at Men of Steel Nation, which is the Men of Steel podcast. Once again, you guys can follow me on social media on Twitter and Instagram at Prodigy Richey for the Men of Steel podcast. On Twitter, it is at Men of Steel CGR, and on Instagram at Men of Steel Nation. So I leave you. Don't be trolling, be rolling. I gone.